used to be my dining room, but now it is my home office. And I know that you've set up shop right there in your upstairs living room. For all of us, a home workspace has become not just convenient, but critical during COVID. We have a designer joining us now, teaching us how we can make the most out of our spaces.
Absolutely. Lisa Emsini, she is the founder of Mosaic Design Studio, and she's here to help us bring some work into her home in a peaceful way. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
It doesn't, I think initially for like that first month, I think everyone was like, okay, well, what do we have to do? Let's just put that in the kitchen, we'll put that over there, and there's wires everywhere and everything's a mess. And then when we realized, wait a second, we're going to be in this for the long haul, maybe it's time we actually create like a proper sort of home office situation because this is going to be a while. What's the number one thing you would suggest when designing a home office?
So I think the number one thing is a word called ergonomics. And people don't often think about that because when you're working in an office, there are designers and facilities planners that take care of that for you. But it's how do you fit in your chair? How is your chair to your desk? And then you're also your keyboard. And if you don't have that situated properly, you can have a lot of neck pain. Yeah. You can have some back pain and even some bum pain.
I have bum pain.
I love it. You're taking...
I'm having it right now. I've been sitting here for 6 months. Yeah.
Sean likes to talk about his bum. I'm sorry, Lisa. It's true, though. But you're hitting on a great point, is that it really is comfort and almost like posture first. So that's great. Once we get those things lined up that we can, sustain work for hours at a time, what about putting some fun backgrounds? Like everyone's on Zoom calls these days. Do you have any advice there?
I do. And I think Zoom is one of those things that has shown people. You learn a lot about your coworkers when you see the insides of their houses. And it's not always good. So I think, one of the things is to limit yourself into what you're showing. Yeah. You still need to be professional. The other thing is you need to have your camera situated up high. You don't want kind of that chicken neck that you tend to get. Yep. And a lot of folks don't understand that. So when you're on your Zoom calls, if you can have a separated keyboard, a lot of people have laptops during this situation, but separate your keyboard, have that down low so that your camera can be up higher. And then your background, you want it to be as plain as possible or fun or almost staged. You could have it staged. Yeah. And then some folks can do an actual virtual background, but then you get that ghost. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not. Yeah. Where people go in or out. I'm not, because this is an actual LED mural.
That's not like a virtual background. That's
really
real.
Neat.
No, not at all. I love Rome, Italy, and my daughter lived there. She's an archaeologist, and she took the photo, and I did a 14-foot wall in it.
How cool is
Whoa.
that? That's awesome.
Cool.
When you're a designer, you do those kinds of things.
Well, you were talking about staging rooms. There's actually a Twitter account called, I think it's called Rate My Skype Room or something like that. Where literally they're taking a look at all the people that are working from home right now, and they're like, yeah, well, I'd probably add a little pop of color back there, maybe some flowers. It's a 7 out of 10. And then the next time they're on TV, they've got the flowers, which is the funniest thing.
It does make a difference.
It goes a long way. And now let's talk about things maybe to avoid. Backlighting, I'm assuming, is one thing.
Backlighting is a big one. Even with my screen, I can take the lighting up quite a bit.
Oh, wow.
And you can see how I white out.
Yeah, no question.
In that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you want to face yourself. Sometimes you really have to worry about how much lighting is coming in from the outdoors. Yeah. And then you want to get some side lighting, so that you don't look like a scary, kind of like Halloween thing with a flashlight coming up underneath you. So those are some great things. But it also helps from eye fatigue standpoint. So the better your light is, especially natural light, the better off you are.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I've had an additional problem is I have a couple of LEDs on me, Lisa, but I find that a direct LED without any filter, it actually kind of gives me a headache after a couple hours. So a lot of people are I think you had some kind of covering on your light behind you.
That's exactly right. Just a simple cover. If you think about kind of almost like a handkerchief. And it really helps to diffuse the light, and then you don't see the vibration of a light.
Yeah, it's very, very helpful stuff. And again, everyone, we're not sure exactly how soon things will go back to normal, we're not sure if anything will ever go back to normal. Maybe we'll all be working from home forever. Maybe this is just the way it goes. But if that's the case, this is a good opportunity to invest in yourself. How do you do it on a budget, though?
There's a lot of great ways. Facebook, buy and sell, those kind of marketplace areas are fantastic. People are moving and changing where they're at, and they're getting rid of some things like that. You can also go to a place like IKEA. They have nice divider screens. You can get a Palm, very inexpensive. IKEA is fantastic because they almost have sets made up for you, and you can see how you want to look. So, I think what you have to understand is that fancy isn't always better.
Yeah, no question
We're
about it.
looking at this for a year or two, and this is not for a 25-year gig. So if it works for you, do it. I mean, you can even take your Amazon boxes and create storage bins for them.
Why not?
I think you made an interesting point I just want to throw in too, is that fancy's not always better. I was on a Zoom call with about 20 people, and one of the gentlemen looked like he had a mansion behind him. And I can tell you now, it ended up being one of those fake pre-designed Zoom backgrounds, but we're all thinking, gosh, we're all working really hard, and that guy's sitting in a mansion. It actually was like a disadvantage. Isn't that interesting?
You fake the house for the job you want.
Yeah. Well, I think that's interesting. You don't want to put anything political. You don't want to have, 10,000 cats on the back. If you're a cat fan, you still want to be able to present yourself so they can focus on you.
Oh, we've all been on too many Zoom calls. Yeah.
Unless you're having a Zoom meetup with a cat group,
Yes.
in which case, let the cats
Fair enough.
go.
You work for Purina, you're allowed to have it. It's great to have you. Thank you so much.
It was my
Thank you,
pleasure.
Lisa.
Thank you. Have a great
Listen,
day.
if you want some more great tips, you want to see this segment again, go to our website, LasVegasMorningBlend.com.